Welcome to Legal Keys, unlocking time, revenue, and results. The podcast that connects you with the people, technologies, and trending topics shaping the modern legal landscape. From cutting-edge AI innovations to high-growth marketing strategies and everything in between. Legal Keys is your go-to resource for actionable insights. Brought to you by Faster Outcomes and hosted by Tim Sawyer, two-time Inc. 500 co-founder entrepreneur. We're here to help you navigate the tools and trends driving success in today's legal world.
Okay, I'm fired up today. This is the greatest episode, the luckiest episode. It's the 13th episode of Legal Keys. I'm your host, Tim Sawyer. We want to welcome you. Legal Keys sponsored by Faster Outcomes, the ultimate legal intelligence platform for lawyers and law firms of all shapes and sizes. If you've been listening for a while, we appreciate your continued support. If this is your first time, you made a great choice. Today is going to be, like I said, Lucky 13. My guest is none other than Jay Berkowitz. Jay is the founder and CEO of 10 Golden Rules, a digital marketing agency specializing in helping law firms build trust, visibility, and client acquisition online. Based in Boca Raton, Jay is a 5 times published author, 2 times Amazon bestseller. He's also sought after keynote speaker, advisor, and a professor. Can't wait to hear about that. Not to mention a good friend. Sharing his expertise on SEO, AI enhanced strategies, video content cascades, reputation management, and so much more at 10 Golden Rules. Jay, welcome to Legal Keys.
Hey, Tim, thank you. And that was a great introduction and a lot of enthusiasm. I love it. I think I'm going to bring you on tour with me and you can introduce me. Maybe you can introduce me to Great Legal Marketing. We both, you just told me you're going to be going there. So that's great.
I am, by the way, for our listeners, wait till you hear the episode with Ben Glass, owner of Great Legal Marketing, and we will absolutely be at his show, Making Friends, and Jay will be speaking there. We're going to talk more about that. But I want to get into it, Jay. So I'm an AI guy. You're a digital marketing guy. These worlds have smashed together big time. On a practical level, what is the impact on the typical personal injury lawyer digital marketing strategy? How is AI impacting that? And what adjustments are you making? What recommendation are you making? Give us the kind of lay of the land.
Well, it's huge and it's significant because Google says they're showing about 30% of the search results. They're using their Google AI overviews in the search results. And if you are familiar with it as a consumer, yep. If you're not familiar with the terminology, it's a ChatGPT style answer to a query, a search query or a question. And we're seeing those about 30% of the time, and they're coming right at the very top of Google. And it's definitely a game changer because when Google answers someone's question, and I'll give you an example, someone searches, at the very start of a search, they've been in a car accident and they're just starting to realize, okay, maybe the insurance company's not on my side. And they're searching, do I need a lawyer for a car accident? So we call those top of the funnel or the beginning of the search cycle, and someone's just doing their first research. Well, 6 months ago, Google would have shown 3 or 4 lawyer websites with blogs that ask and answer the question, do I need a lawyer after a car accident? Now Google's answering that question with a ChatGPT style result. Now it's very, very significant for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is instead of clicking over to someone's website, we both know and love Rob Levine, and maybe Rob Levine has a blog that is titled, do I need a lawyer after a car accident? And then Rob goes on to explain all the things you need to, get the information, don't get recorded with your insurance company, and all the different facts that you cover in a blog like that. Well, now Google's going to answer that question for you. So there's 2 big factors at play. Factor number 1 is it's going to reduce the traffic to websites. And so if that click is not going to go to Rob's website or the other 4 or 5 websites that Google would have had at the top of the page before. The other thing is it's going to reduce a few clicks that would have gone to pay-per-click local service ads, SEO, Google Maps, right? So we're definitely seeing an across the board, maybe 5% drop on all the different those four different areas of Google. Okay, now what does that mean? How can you compensate for that? And I'd say part number one is you can come up in those searches because Google shows their homework. And by the way, so does ChatGPT. The reason I'm talking about Google's still 80 or 90% of the marketplace. ChatGPT is only 5, 6, 7% of those type of searches. But both of them are showing links now to the websites that they use to compile the information. And part of that is due to trademark and copyright lawsuits and stuff. So ChatGPT shows those links now. Google definitely shows the links right on the right-hand side beside the search results. So you can do what we call AEO, answer engine optimization. We used to do search engine optimization, but the new terminology some of us are using in the industry, answer engine optimization. So now you're going to try and optimize your website and optimize the other things you do on the internet, which is equally important. YouTube videos, Reddit answers, Quora, things like that, where you're helping Google and ChatGPT answer these questions, and they're going to show a link to your website. So we've been very aggressively recording videos with our clients where we answer questions, and literally the attorney will say, one of the questions we're getting asked all the time now is, what do I do if I get hit by someone in an Uber? Who's going to pay for my car repairs and my medical? So we literally state the question in the video. We go on to answer the question in the video. Then we search engine optimize the video on YouTube. We put the video on the website. We write a blog post about the video because Google's AI reads the words that you said in the video. So they've already got that in their SEO algorithm. Now we're going to write a blog post to supplement that video. And we're going to use that video not only on YouTube, but also on social media. So everything's feeding as an expert answer to questions that people would ask early on in the research they do around a car accident. So that's part one. Part one is you can be a part of those answers, those AI answers right at the top of Google and on ChatGPT. Part two, and this is the part that's a little trickier, if 5 to 10% of those searches are not going to go to websites, Google's going to answer the question, the person's going to be satisfied. They're not going to do another search till maybe later when they realize, oh, I really need a lawyer. Like the insurance company's really not going to pay for my car repairs.
Yeah.
So now what has happened, let's say 5 to 10% of the website traffic from SEO is down. A few clicks didn't go to pay-per-click or LSA. So now there's less traffic to your website. Well, the cases are still there. So now you're going to have to capture eyeballs in other ways. And that is, we're doing a lot of YouTube, we're doing a lot of social media. Very, very important is brand. And again, I'll say for two reasons. Part number one is if somebody does see a local service ad or even a pay-per-click ad or a social SEO result on Google, and they recognize your face on the LSA and they don't recognize the other faces, you have a higher chance of getting a click. If you get more clicks, obviously you get more clicks. And number two, Google's algorithm sees that you get more clicks. So it's very important that every law firm figures out their brand message. Who are you and what do you stand for? And then the second part to that is that these AEO, answer engine optimizations, where they're answering questions, they're definitely favoring brand performance, brand preference. So if you have YouTube videos, if you have a book, if you have a popular social media site, those things are feeding into the AEOs.
Yeah, let me, so around that, the AEO concept, in preparation for this podcast, I was really excited to talk to you, and you're an expert, so I figured I better do a little research. One of the trends that my research uncovered was the idea of Q&A schemas are now really important, right? So in other words, questions, what you're talking about. So
I love it. That's a great one.
Q&A schema for the layperson, right? I know a little bit about digital marketing, but certainly not an expert like yourself. How practically, at 10 golden rules, how are you deploying that? And like, what are the simple steps, and help the lawyers understand what that means?
Well, your research was good. I think you dug deeper than ChatGPT for that one. That's a really good one. And I'll explain what schemas are first.
Okay.
So about 10 years ago, Google, Yahoo, and about, I don't know, 300 other websites came together and they said, let's create a series of standard codes that we can all recognize and populate information in a standard manner. The most straightforward one is location schema. So there's location schema, and it's a very simple set of code that Google and Yahoo and everybody else said, if you use this on your website, we will easily identify where you're located, what your address is, what your city is, what your postal code is, zip code, right? So it's a simplification of HTML code, like actual website code, that everybody can identify and everybody can represent. So sometimes when you do a Google search and the websites come up in the SEO results, sometimes they'll have the address of the law firm. And that's because they had schema code, Google recognized it, and they popped it in there. Sometimes they'll show how many Google stars you have in your 5-star Google reviews. Sometimes they'll show a very simplified version of your blog on a mobile phone. And they started out with 10 or 12 schemas. There's now over 800 schemas.
Wow.
And so the one you mentioned, the Q&A schema, is designed for what I described earlier in this podcast, which is when you ask and answer questions, you can use that schema to tell Google, this is a question, this is an answer, and we've given a simplified answer to a question. And so Google and Yahoo and Bing and all the other search engines recognize immediately that you are doing a Q&A, often found on blogs, frequently asked questions, different parts of the website, where you're trying to make it easy for the AEOs, answer engine optimization. You're doing essentially AEO at a very high level with schema code to answer questions and tell Google, hey, we answered this question.
And so so the lawyers need to make sure that they're using this schema format, right? So it seems like, granted, it's a small percentage of searches that are going to not just ChatGPT, but other open AI platforms. But that's the preferred method of choice for those AI platforms, right? They want to see and recognize. So are they gonna give preference to Q&A schema when they're showing, hey, if someone goes to, so walk me through, let me change the question. Someone goes to ChatGPT. Granted, it's 6-7% of the people, but 7% of a lot is a lot, right? So someone goes to ChatGPT and says, should I get a lawyer? I live in Rhode Island. Should I get a lawyer for my car crash? Is the Q&A schema going to give somebody an advantage, and how would that appear in an open AI search?
Yeah, 1,000%. And it's funny, I just did a webinar on the ABCs of SEO, and that's where we simplify Google's algorithms down. Now there's 14,000 different factors that Google weighs in deciding who goes on page 1 and who goes on page 10,000 when you search for, do I need a lawyer after a car accident? And so of the 14,000 factors, I try and simplify it down to the ABCs. And you can see all my webinars on my YouTube channel. And it's funny because the schema code, I said, that's a question that you want to ask your agency. So I don't recommend that lawyers try and become experts at writing schema code, but that's one of those advanced questions that is a really good question to ask your agency. Like, are you guys doing some work are you doing any AEO, answer engine optimization? Have you heard of schema code? Are you using the Q&A schema code? Should we be doing more question and answer videos? Should we be putting those on our blogs? Should we rewrite a whole bunch of frequently asked questions? What are we doing to build our authority and my brand authority? And so those are all really good questions to ask your in-house team or your agency.
Yeah, smart. And it makes sense, right? Because people, the world, the more complicated the world gets, the simpler it becomes for the consumer, because we're dialing in, right? All these technologies are dialing in on identifying what is the intent, get to, as fast as they can, to the intent of the searcher, right? And, back, we used to talk about semantic search. What's a person really trying to say? Well, now these technologies are really dialing in. And so the final point on that is, yes, schema code is important. Q&A scheme is important. Absolutely ask your agency. If you're not comfortable with your agency, I'll make a shout out right now. Give Jay a call. Go to 10 Golden Rules. They got this dialed in. So now, in
Thank
general, as a marketing guy, because we have you, we're lucky, we're fortunate, our audience is fortunate. Websites in general haven't. I have some experience, as you know, with website development. Websites in general haven't changed a lot. Personal injury law firm websites haven't changed a ton. What are the biggest mistakes you're seeing in legal websites today? So how can firms better align their sites with AI search and the modern consumer? Like, what are the three things you see all the time and you're like, ah, shit, that's not going to work?
Well, I think I covered AEO pretty extensively, but
Yeah.
the biggest mistake is actually not AI. It's not having the phone number prominent on the website. Because as important as AI is, once someone gets to your website, I see a lot of websites that are falling into the Morgan & Morgan website design trap. And you're going to say, what's the Morgan & Morgan
What is
website
it?
design trap? Well, recently, about 6 months ago, Morgan & Morgan, if you don't know Morgan & Morgan, is by far and away the largest personal injury firm in the country. They're in about 25 states, and they're coming to your state soon. And Morgan redesigned their website, and they put a massive form for you to fill out your name, your contact information, your email, your phone number on the homepage of the form. And so a bunch of folks came to us and said, we want to put the form on our website like Morgan & Morgan. And my argument is that Morgan & Morgan, the search term in Google, Morgan & Morgan, is searched a crazy number, like 90,000 times a month. Variants of Morgan and Morgan, Morgan ampersand, Morgan, personal injury, Morgan law firm. And so people, because of Morgan's $450 million of advertising, are searching for Morgan & Morgan and then coming to Morgan's website and filling out the form and waiting for Morgan & Morgan to call them back.
Yeah.
Design flaw, because if somebody searches personal injury lawyer near me and you come up in the local service ads, pay-per-click, SEO, and they come to your website and you've got a big form, when people fill out those forms, half of the time we call them back, they don't even answer the phone because it's an unknown number. And only about 5% of people who come to your website fill out your form. So it's very different from Morgan & Morgan. That's why I call it the Morgan & Morgan design flaw.
Yeah, they have
what
massive
we do
brand
recommend, and we've actually A/B tested multiple times. So A/B tests are when on paid advertising and even on your regular website, you can show half of the people a homepage with a big form and half of the people a homepage that says, call us for a free consultation. And then the little button says, click to call for a free consultation. And we've seen as much as 40% improvement in leads and conversions by focusing on the phone number. So I would say the first most important thing is nothing to do with AI. It's you should have a phone number in the top right portion of your desktop design. Your call to action should be call us for a free consultation, because when you get people on the phone, they convert at about 22 to 24%.
Yep.
The number of people who fill out a form on your website is only about 5%. So, the math screams in favor of getting those phone calls wherever you can. So first, number one is absolutely getting the phone call if you can. Number two is, and AI is actually playing a part in this, is you want to have a great chat on your website. And as I made the point very forcefully, you definitely want phone calls. Some people are not going to pick up the phone. And so we have this conversation a lot of times with folks. Let's say one of the best cases we ever got for one of our clients, the niece of a construction worker, he fell 5 stories off a scaffolding in New York and he survived, broke multiple bones in his body. But the niece did the research and she filled out the chat on the website. And we asked her why. She said, well, it wasn't my case. And she just started, talking like, hey, my uncle's injured. She was not going to call. She was never going to fill out a form because it wasn't her case. She didn't want to get spam, as she explained it, right? So very important that you've got a great chat on your website. And there's a number of great chats like Intaker Chat, which actually uses AI and it interacts with you and it answers your questions. We have Intaker, if you want to have a quick look at it, on our website at 10goldenrules.com. And you can see, I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen these now, and you see a video of me saying, hey, how can I help you? And then it walks you through, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a website? Are you looking for SEO? Are you looking for pay-per-click? Are you looking for other? What industry are you in? Are you in legal? Are you in other? And so it walks them through. Same thing with a car accident. Were you injured? Were you at fault? Did you seek medical treatment? And it answers those questions. And then it says, would you like to speak to an attorney? And it'll connect you to the call. So that the second and most important thing, number one, phone number prominent. Number two, have a good chat, a good AI chat function on the website, because some people are never going to call and some people are never going to fill out a form. So you get 10 to 20% more leads if you have a really good AI chat on the website.
Smart. Now I got a question for you, a little bit on topic, but a little bit out there. So there's this idea, I go to shows a lot, as you know, trade shows, and I've seen a couple presentations around using AI avatars for intake, like not just the chat, like legit, hi, I'm Steve. Oh my God, you were in a car crash. Are you okay? And it's AI. What are your thoughts on that? Are we ready for that? Or
I think we're ready for testing, and we're testing. We're testing at 10 Golden Rules, and we're testing with some of our clients. And look, here's a simple fact, Tim, and you know this better than anyone. The AI is going to be better than humans at most functions. And I'll give you a simple stat. I think with Siri, if you remember when like Siri first came out on the Apple phones, she got it wrong a lot of times, but slowly and slowly she got better and better. And if Siri can hear okay, she's I believe somewhere in the 94 to 95% accurate.
wow.
The best human transcriptionists are only 93% accurate. So what happens is the AI learns and gets better and gets better and gets better. So, let's talk about the AI chat we mentioned earlier, or even the AI on the phone. When they start out, they're going to be, 80% accurate, then 85%, and they're going to train them and they're going to teach them. And they learn from doing, and they learn from code and training. Literally, you're training them to get better and better. And when they answer a question wrong, you give them the right answer. And so what happens is they get to that 95, 96% level. Now, people say, well, humans are better. Well, I would argue they're not, and we know they're not. And here's why they're not. Your best single best intake person is probably a 95%. Like when they hear and they interpret correctly, and they had a good night's sleep, and their kid's not screaming in the next room, they're probably pretty darn good at showing empathy, representing the firm, giving them a good promise for how the firm's going to handle the case, telling them about how many cases the firm has handled, and convincing them to come on board as a client. That's your single best intake person performing at their best. But the AI can get better and better. And when if you hire a new intake person, they don't have the years of training of this person. And we listen to a lot of calls. I'll tell you about a really cool AI we're using to do that. And, we hear over and over and over and over, the intake people make, the 4 or 5 simple things that I mentioned, they make the mistake. Someone will call up and say, my daughter was in a terrible accident. She's in a coma, and we believe we need to seek representation. She wasn't driving. And the person says, can I have your name and number? Showing no empathy, right? Like the basic mistakes. And we hear it over and over. And of course, the more advanced mistakes, like, not explaining the benefits of the firm, not explaining the next steps, all the key things that you should do on an intake. So if you want, I can tell you about a really cool AI we use.
I would love to hear it. Yeah.
So this is a really advanced type of use of AI. And a guy named Jeff Woods wrote a great book called The AI-Driven Leader. And this is where I first heard of this. And it's called the CRIT. And the first thing is context. The second thing is role. The third thing is interview. And the fourth thing is task. Yeah. And you want to write this down if you're listening, because this is really the good stuff. Context, role, interview, task. So what we did is we designed a custom GPT. You always want to make sure this is a paid product, whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whichever, all of them are really, really good. Grok is performing exceptionally well these days. So we created a custom AI, and we said, the context is we want you to analyze these 20 phone calls to one of our clients, in a personal injury law firm. And we are going to give you information so that you can be one of the top intake experts in the world. And we downloaded interviews that we did with intake experts on the 10 Golden Rules Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. We downloaded webinars we did. We downloaded live Q&As we did from our stage at the TGR Live conference that we do every year. So we took a bunch of information, proprietary information we had, a couple books, a couple guides we've written for our clients. We downloaded all of that into this custom AI GPT, if you will.
Yep.
And we said roll. Okay. First thing is context. Second thing is roll. So you are now, we want you to read all this information, and you're going to become the world's leading expert on helping coach intake professionals at personal injury law firms. C is context, R is role, I is interview. Okay, now I want you to interview me. I want you to ask me 5 clarifying questions, one at a time, to make sure you understand the task that I'm looking for. And then the task is, now I uploaded these 20 interviews with a personal injury law firm. Yep. Now, again, remember, you can't just do this in ChatGPT, because that's HIPAA information. You have to use an AI like a Faster Outcomes or a paid version of these products. We uploaded the 20 calls, and we said, give me the good thing, the things we did right, the things we did wrong, some coaching tips, some next steps. The results are phenomenal. So it gives you, here's the things you did right. They greeted the person, they asked for their name and number, they, had a good conversation, they talked about, the values of the firm. Here's the things they missed, right? The empathy, telling them the next steps. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Talking to them about the results of the firm and the benefits of the firm, making it super clear. Like, the next thing, I'm going to get you on the phone with a lawyer. We're going to make an appointment, and making it super easy for the person, and giving them confidence that they've called the right place. And then it even offered, it said, how would you like me to write a recommended script for this law firm? And we've done this with several of our clients now, and they've been so happy with the information, because, like I said before, your best intake agent probably nails 4 out of the 5 times, 4 out of the 5 things on every call. But, there's no way that the new people who have been in the seat for 2 weeks can perform at that level. And so we're bringing in these AI coaches and the real coaches, the best folks in the business, to help these, the intake professionals get better.
Now, is this a product? Do they have to be? So is this a product that you commercialize? In other words, you sell it to people?
It's not. It's in what we alpha was the first one. Beta was the next 2 or 3. Now we're rolling it out to our clients. But hopefully, if somebody else wanted access to it, we'd make that available the next couple months.
Let me know, because I would love to, for our listeners and for my customers, right? We have a lot of personal injury customers, lawyers. That's a game changer.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's a game changer. Great. Kudos to you and your team for coming up with that. That's smart. And we want to be with the podcast first and foremost, but Faster Outcomes as an entity, we want to make sure that we're providing as much value as we can. And this sounds like something that we should absolutely be encouraging folks to take a look at. So keep us, our audience, up to date. And when you're ready, we'll put it on the website and make sure that folks can
love it.
Get to you on that.
If I can I give you one other quick example?
Yes,
CRIT, because like I said, write it down and start using it. It's fantastic. I hired a new chief operating officer, or what we call in EOS, our integrator. So if you know the book Traction and the EOS entrepreneurial operating system, there's a VI duo, the visionary and the integrator. And so I'm the visionary at our company, and we needed a new integrator. So I interviewed several candidates, but I use an AI called Fathom AI, and it records all of my meetings. Fantastic tool, highly recommend it. And for our sales meetings, it's great, because our team my sales assistant can go back to the call where we talked about the pricing or the products that the customer's interested in, and just it goes directly to that part of the interview, and you can see the video and hear the conversation. It's all transcribed for it. So I used this tool called Fathom, and it had transcribed all the interviews. I downloaded the top 5 candidates' interviews. We
Yep.
also use Predictive Index, which is a hiring tool. It's like a personality tool. And there's another AI I use called Crystal Knows. This one's amazing. It reads someone's DISC profile, the DISC profile. It reads their DISC profile from LinkedIn and other online sources. And it has an advanced product called a playbook. And the playbook looks at their DISC and my DISC, and it tells me how we would work together based on our DISC profiles. So you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Context. Mr. GPT, Mrs. GPT. I don't know what you call them. I guess they're a they, them. That's a good use of a they, them, by the way.
Yeah.
It's for a GPT. So I said, GPT, here's the job description. In regards to the book Traction, I'm hiring an integrator for our EOS operating system. And here's the job description, some information about 10 golden rules, which they already have because I've uploaded a lot of previous information in my private, paid, safe, secure GPT, so not shared with everybody else. Context, okay? Role. I want you to be the world's best hiring expert. And I Googled some of the best books on hiring and business consulting. I said, like these 5 people. Interview. I want you to ask me 3 non-consecutive questions before you complete the task. Task. I want you to rank these candidates based on the criteria in the job description. And it was fantastic, the results. And it was like I had someone of your level of expertise, listen to all the interviews, read the job description, and spend like 5 hours to give me feedback and rank the candidates. And it ranked them. There was a bulleted list on the criteria in the job description. It ranked all the candidates from scale of 1 to 10 on the 5 or 6 criteria in the job description. It made it very, very easy for us to finalize our decision.
Wow. Look at you. This is great.
And you said you were the AI guy at the start of it.
Listen, the reason I have I talk about this on podcasts all the time. The reason I have a podcast is because I learn more in these 30, 40-minute interviews which is great, right? Because I'm talking to influential people who are, educated in this stuff. And I'm relatively new, maybe a year into the legal profession, but I'm expediting my learning curve by hanging out with people like you. And by virtue of that, my listeners too. So it's awesome. So as we wind down, we got to wind down. 1 minute. What's coming up for 10 Golden Rules in the next 6 months? The show, what's going on with the show, and how can people reach out to you and get a hold of you and talk about all the amazing things you're doing?
Yeah, we'd love to see everybody at TGR Live, Growth Strategies for Law Firms. That's our conference, and Tim was there last year. Hopefully you'll be back in 2026. We've confirmed the dates, March 16th and 17th in beautiful Delray Beach, Florida at the Opal Grand. We're back there. The location's fantastic. It's right on the ocean in Delray Beach, which is super cool. There's about 100 restaurants right on Atlantic Ave. We call it the Ave. And so if you haven't been to that area, it's super cool. Delray's in between West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale, if you don't know the area. What's coming up next for 10 Golden Rules is actually something you helped me with a lot. And I want to thank you for clarifying that there's 3 legs to our stool, if you will. We have 3 phases of the business that we help people with. We talked a lot today about attract, which is the first phase, which is helping generate leads. And I talked a little bit about our AI product that's helping with conversion, with intake. We have another intake product called TGR Boomerang. If a client misses a call or someone fills out a form on the website, they get an immediate text to their intake department. So that's a proprietary technology called TGR Boomerang, like this little Australian toy over my shoulder. So phase 1 is attract. Phase 2 is we do a lot of work to help convert at a much higher level. And phase 3, we call 5-star operations. And we do a lot of work with our clients to make sure that they treat their prospects like a 5-star hotel. And when you show up at the Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton for some of these fancy legal conferences, they know your name and they're, oh, welcome back, Mr. Berkowitz. Reception's over here and we'll be happy to, get your room set up. I'm going to take your luggage directly to your room. And they already know your room. They already know your preferences. They've got the feather pillows, right? So we want to treat people like that the minute that they call the law firm, all the way through the experience, so that we get more 5-star Google reviews and more great referrals. Referrals are really the lifeblood of every law firm. So we do a lot of work at 10 Golden Rules to help our clients deliver that 5-star service and get more Google reviews and get more referrals. And there's 4 or 5 products that we have in that phase. So phase 1, attract; phase 2, convert; phase 3, 5-star operations. And we're involved. We really say we do growth strategies for law firms. We don't only do digital marketing, although we're very, very good at that.
I love that. So 10 Golden Rules. The show is March 16th, 17th. Faster Outcomes will be there. We're definitely going to be, We're excited, pumped about that for sure. What's the website? People want to get a hold of you?
Well, everything's on 10 Golden Rules, TEN Golden Rules. We also own 10 Golden Rules. And I'm Jay Berkowitz on all the social media, LinkedIn, love to connect with you, Facebook, Twitter, etc.
Amen. Jay, I really appreciate you taking the time today. This was awesome. I knew it was going to be awesome. I was psyched about this. I woke up early today, did my prep work, ready to go. We always appreciate folks listening to the podcast. Appreciate your ongoing support. Like and share if you can. And we'll get this out soon, Jay. Everyone's going to be psyched about this. I was psyched about this. My energy was high as it could be today. Totally psyched, grateful. Thank you to our listeners, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.